This is my app, Converscabulary. This is a language and vocabulary app to learn all different kinds of languages. We have stock languages and then also languages that you can build in yourself, be able to add your own words, really whatever you'd like. In thinking of an app, I thought of all the different apps that are already out there. And when I was interviewing people, my main persona here was going to be Brandy. She's actually moving to Belgium here within the next year, and will be a ministry administrator there in a church, helping a church plant just grow. The main language there in Belgium is French and Dutch, but in the portion of Belgium she will be living in, it will predominantly be French speakers. So it was really important for her to make sure that she could learn just the basics and be able to use an app that was fun and made her want to go back to it on a regular basis. Some of her main goals were really to be able to learn the conversational basics within a year. She's currently in a class right now, but she doesn't love the classroom setting. So an app or something that she can use on a regular basis was something that was extremely important for her. Finding an app that she was wanting to go back to time and time again, that was pretty quick for her to be able to access and not have to dive into a full lesson on a regular basis. Some of the biggest challenges that Brandy had mentioned was while she's there, she wants to be able to greet people in French. She wants to be able to order her food, be able to get groceries, really do whatever on a regular basis, as far as just general speaking in French. One of the biggest things that stood out to me whenever we were doing our user interviews, she said something that really just kind of stuck with me. Um, she said this quote. She said, "When we try, it shows people we care. This is what I want people to see. If they see I'm making an effort, hopefully they'll see my willingness to want to be in their life." Um, she pretty much summed that up by saying that if she's trying to learn people's languages and really trying to speak in their language, people are going to be way more open. People are going to want to talk to her, and be more open to letting her into their life. And I thought that's can be used pretty much anywhere. I mean, if we're speaking in different business terms, if we try, people are willing to hear us out. Um, my problem statement for this app was Brandy needs a way to be able to practice her French as often as possible. That was my big goal that I kept in mind the entire time throughout. Was she has 1 year to be able to do this? How can I be as successful in doing this? So in thinking I came up with a couple different options. So I thought the best option for her to be able to learn would first be flashcards. So here's kind of a step-by-step version of what I first thought for a flashcard idea would be within the app. My second one was a game idea. With a game, I wanted it to be something that would be fun, something easy to do, and something that she could just pick up and put away whenever she wanted and could pick up wherever she left off lastly, to be able to just be able to do it on the go, really wherever she's at. Her job doesn't allow her to just sit there and just focus on a bunch of things, but if she has some spare time, it gives her opportunity to be able to open the app, be able to do whatever she wants, whenever she can. So here's just kind of an early framework of my early wireframes. My big thought the entire time was I want this to be simple. I want this to be something easy and clean, not busy. I've used other apps before, and in trying to figure out what I wanted in my app, I really wanted it to not be busy, ton of things popping up at you. So that was my big kind of thing that I wanted to start with. And then on the flashcard game, the one big takeaway that I wanted to make sure that I emphasized here was a swipe feature within the flashcards. Whenever people were going from flashcard to flashcard, I wanted them to be able to have the action to be able to swipe left, swipe right, swipe up or down on the flashcard, and they all have different meanings. Whether you swipe right to continue, left to save it for later, swipe up if you wanted more flashcards like that. That was kind of my main idea, but then also trying to keep the flashcard interface just as clean as possible with as little as possible on there. So I came up with my first prototypes, and yes, they were as simple and as plain as possible. And I learned as I continued to go on that making it just as simple as possible and as clean as possible wasn't probably my best thought. I still needed to think through how moving parts would happen as far as global navigation. I really missed the mark here. And then after doing some usability tests, I was able to see that that's kind of one of the big pieces that people were lacking. So for my usability test, I asked my participants to try to do just the most basic things. If they were going to be doing this on a regular basis, I wanted to make sure that it was easy for them to be able to do. First, be able to access the French deck, being able to go to the end of the lesson, be able to change basic settings, and so forth. The other big piece of it, big takeaway that I got from the usability test was one, everybody said it was simple. Every single participant said, yes, it's very clean. The con to that was there wasn't enough explanation. There needed some kind of tracking, some kind of tracker to show where you were at as far as progress within the app. And then lastly, the lack of global navigation. When a participant wanted to move forward or back, whether that be within that or just go all the way back to the main menu and they were done looking at that, there wasn't any clear way to be able to do that on my initial prototype, so I needed to fix that. So from there, we had our improvements. This is about, I think, the second version of it, but I added, of course, just a tutorial option. That wasn't said in the interviews, but I did realize that having a tutorial option would just set us apart. I don't have a prototype for that right here, but I would add a prototype later on for that to be able to walk through just kind of basic using the app on a regular basis, what it looks like to be able to add your own words in there, make your own flashcards, different things like that. The second big piece was the global navigation piece. I wanted to make it just as universal as possible. A home setting, a go back button, and then also just the settings button for people to be able to just pretty much basically know what to do without having to ask too much what's going on here or needing much direction. And then lastly was just the status bar. I made a just kind of 1 out of 10 or just kind of circle above the flashcard or the fill in the blank card there, just so you kind of knew where you're at within the lesson, so you can either decide to either finish up or save it for later. My huge takeaways from this entire process. My thought process was in this app, I wanted it to be very simple and very clean. But I learned from all the usability tests, my user interviews, and then even working through different prototypes and wireframes that I have to have a clear message of what I'm trying to do in each one of my stages. That was huge. Secondly, simple isn't always best. I realized that having just less on the screen kind of made it confusing because people didn't know what to do. I had to give people direction in some sort, so I could make it simple, but I think I have to include a tutorial page, otherwise people aren't going to know what to do. And then lastly, I really found out that having some kind of game made it to where people would want to cling on to these vocabulary words, whether it be French, whether it be business terminology, or learning English as a second language. Games make it very fun for people and make it memorable, and whenever you're learning to speak a new language, I think that's very instrumental in remembering keywords. And that's Converscabulary.